Hello and welcome to Saints Live. I'm Kenzie Benali.
And I'm Steve Forbes.
And as you can see, we're here at St Mary's Stadium ahead of the Premier League clash between Southampton and Chelsea. Great to have your company as always. Thanks for joining us. And we're also joined throughout the evening by two fantastic guests. It is, of course, former Saints captain Dean Hammond and NBC's lead soccer writer Joe Prince-Wright. Lovely to see you both. How are you guys?
Very well, Kenzie. Very well, thank you.
Joe, are you well?
Great. Yeah, doing great. Great to be here again, and hopefully a big 3 points at Saints tonight.
Absolutely.
Yeah, good stuff. Great to see you guys as always. We will have the team news coming out in about 15 minutes' time. We know so far that there are no new fresh injury concerns that we're aware of. So given that, Dean, how do you expect Saints to line up today?
Something very similar, Steve. I think it will be a very similar team because of the performance against Manchester United at the weekend. Have to take in consideration it's the second game in 3 or 4 days, so I'm sure that will play an impact on the selection. The squad is healthy. There's lots of players in form and performing very, very well at the moment. So I think there could be some changes. I think the system will stay the same. I think the 4-3-3, the 4-2-3-1 has worked pretty well for the team of late, especially in the second half against Leicester. And the performance Saturday against Manchester United. I could see Stuart Armstrong maybe coming into the team for Elanusi potentially. I think Perro's fit again, but I think Gineppo's done very, very well, so I think he'll stay in. I think the manager likes that flexibility on the left-hand side, a bit more of an attacking threat. Will Mara come in to replace Shea Adams? Will they play alongside each other? I'm not too sure. And then you've got the younger players. I mean, Lavia has come in and has been exceptional. He's been fantastic so far this season. But again, he's a young man. He's getting used to the Premier League. You've got an experienced player in Oyer Romeo. Will they come in and make a change there? So I think if there is any changes, I think it will be to freshen the team up, to be able to play with that intensity and that high level of energy that the manager wants. It won't be down to form from any individual player or collectively, but I think the manager does have options, which is what he's always wanted, and he'll be looking for a similar performance tonight that he had against Manchester United. Chelsea are a good team, a little bit inconsistent so far, but this will be a test for the players. So I think the same shape and maybe 1 or 2 changes tonight.
Joe, what about you? Are you expecting any changes this evening?
Kenzie, I think similar to what Dean said there, it's all about freshening the team up. I think that the young players have been playing so well, but it's a lot to ask of them to play 3 games in 7 days, essentially, with the game against Wolves coming up at the weekend as well. So intrigued to see if the likes of Romeo, Lianco, Jan Valery, Stuart Armstrong, if they can come in. And Dean mentioned there, if Perro comes in at left back, then Moussa Gineppo can move further up into his natural position out on the wing. Stuart Armstrong coming in for Elanusi, maybe replacing Joe Aribo. But the formation's working well, to be honest. I don't think you have to change an awful lot. It's maybe what I would like to see tonight is Saints being a bit more aggressive on the front foot and Mara playing up top with Shea Adams, trying something out because, going into this game against Chelsea, I think they'll roll up and expect to have a lot of the ball early on, but Saints can come out and cause them a few problems. So there's a lot of options, as Dean mentioned there, and I think that's the key thing for Ralph right now. He knows he can switch players in and out of the lineup, and the level's not really going to drop. So that's a good thing for a manager to have.
Right, we're going to reflect on our last game in just a second, but before we do, let's have a look at the highlights from Saturday's clash against Manchester United.
You can get a team that can get done by 4 at Brentford, or even 3 at Brentford in May, and you can get a team that can beat Liverpool on its day. And that's the unpredictability of Southampton and Manchester United over the last few seasons. Alanga, now he gets it back into Dalot from the edge of the box, chips it towards the far post, free header, and United should score. Bazunu with a great save, then a block, then another block. Oh my goodness me, how have Manchester United not scored and how have Saints kept them out? That is some defending from Southampton. Gineppo comes short, he ignores him, outswing it to the near post, flicked on, Bella-Kotchap, oh, he's towed it over the bar from only 5 yards out. Saints are coming again to Adam Armstrong after Aribo's good work. Low ball into Shea Adams, holds it up, turns and shoots, straight at De Gea. Ward-Prowse is screaming for it. I thought Gineppo got there, he didn't, and another 1-2 from Malanga. This is brilliant, and then that's a fantastic tackle from Armel Bella-Kotchap. United come down the right again, pulled back to Fernandes, 1-0 with the volley. Lovely finish from Bruno Fernandes, and they strike 10 minutes into the second half, United. And Adam Armstrong should drive at Dalot here. Remember, he's been booked, the Portuguese. He's in the box, he's going on the outside, he's got support from Gineppo, but he wants to cross it himself, and he does! Brilliant save, brilliant header, and then the follow-up over the bar. And Saints missed the opportunity. Out it goes to that left wing. Now, can it come in? Armstrong onto his right foot, crosses deep to the back post. Walker Peters heads it across, back header, back it comes out to Lianco, can't get the shot away, and it was Mara with the overhead kick that caused the mayhem. And Manchester United's run of unbeaten games at St Mary's continues into another year.
Well, Dean, it was, of course, a disappointing result on Saturday, but you were impressed with Adam Armstrong's performance. Do you think he could be more suited to that wide role on the left?
I think potentially at Southampton, and in this formation, yes, Kenzie. I think having Gineppo play at left back kind of suits him, allows him to come a little bit more central. Also, it allows him to receive the ball facing forward, not always receiving the ball with his back to goal or having to run in behind, so he gets more touches of the ball. Technically, we know he's very, very good. He's brilliant at running with the ball. He's got that electric pace. He can go either way. He's very strong on his right and left foot, and he doesn't mind playing with his right or his left foot. As you can see from the highlights, loves twisting and turning and committing defenders. And he looks like he's playing with that a bit more freedom. He looks like he's enjoying the role. He can come off short. He doesn't have to be that player that's always running in behind. He's trying to make things happen, which you want from your creative players. It doesn't always work out. A brilliant cross for Aribo's chance there, and that would have been a fantastic assist. But it's difficult to defend against him because of his pace and because of his willingness to go on his left foot or cut back on his right. He's playing on that left-hand side as well. He can come in on his right-hand foot and get strikes at goal. And one thing he's very, very good at is receiving the ball. As you can see from highlights here, you can get it in tight areas, and he's got that step over, he's got that balance. So I think he's been very refreshing out there and probably surprised me. He's probably surprised the manager as well, because he's continually selecting there. And he is a goal threat as well. So I think Southampton this season are very aware that they need to share the goals around. It can't just come from the strikers. So if you've got wide players scoring goals, if you've got centre half scoring goals, if you've got midfield players scoring goals, then Southampton have got a better chance of winning games and not just relying on one or two players. So I think he's been very, very good. But he's got that electric pace, and you want the ball at his feet. Usually we've been used to him getting the ball in behind and running in behind. Now he receives it and he's running at defenders, which is good to see. So he looks full of confidence playing on that left-hand side.
Now, the fans were singing the praises of Armel Bella-Kotchap after the game. He was having an impact at both ends of the pitch. But, Joe, how did you rate his performance in a defensive capacity?
Sensational, Steve, quite simply. I mean, we've seen it in flashes against Leeds and Leicester. Just total commitment. I was speaking to some friends who are Saints fans who were at the game, and they absolutely loved it. They loved to see him being on the front foot, just taking the game to strikers that he's marking. And I think the partnership works really well with Salisu as well. They're both very quick. They can play that high line that Saints love to play, and then recover when teams get in behind, like we're seeing here on these clips. So what I love, Steve, he's so aggressive in the tackle, engages high up the pitch, and to think he's just 20 years old is pretty sensational to see how he's doing in his first season in the Premier League. And I love this as well, the ability to turn and then just pick out a pass. I mean, the potential is massive for him there. We can see him covering across, making a great last-ditch tackle. And as you mentioned, he was unlucky with a few of the chances he had going forward as well. He's such a threat, such a physical, imposing figure. Fans' favourite already. And we saw him stride out of the back on a few occasions as well and just link play. He's very comfortable on the ball. And I think, Steve, he's exactly the type of centre-back that Saints have been looking for to play alongside Salisu and bring out the best in him as well. So as a partnership, they're superb, had a great start to the season. And for Bella-Kotchap, I mean, he's exceeding everyone's expectations right now. We knew he was good. We knew he was raw and had a lot of potential. But he really seems to have harnessed that and was very controlled against Man United. So great start to the season. Hopefully he keeps it going.
Yeah, he's definitely exceeded expectations, hasn't he? And I mean, Dean, no Southampton player had more attempts on goal against Manchester United than Bella-Kotchap. His first Southampton goal surely can't be far away.
I think so. I mean, he's getting close. He's already got his first assist with the brilliant touch for Shay Adams, but he's very aggressive. We've just seen the clips there where he's aggressive defensively. He's aggressive in the opposition box as well in terms of his timing, in terms of his anticipation to react to a delivery. He's got a fantastic delivery from James Ward-Prowse. Again, winning that first header, just can't quite direct it. But he's really confident. And what I think now he's getting, Kenzie, is that he would have believed he could play at this level. He would have believed he could play in the Premier League. I think he knows now he can. And there's a difference in yourself as a player. You can see when he drives out with the ball, he's not looking for a pass. He's looking to make something happen. You don't always want your centre half striking and taking shots from 30 yards, but technically he's very, very good. He's confident. And he's getting closer with the chances he had against Manchester United. So he's been a brilliant signing. Defensively, he looks strong. I agree with Joe. The partnership he's got with Salisu, it looks really, really good. They look like they enjoy playing together. They bounce off each other, one left-footed, one right-footed. So that really, really works. But also, Southampton are quite a good size. Like I say, with James Ward-Prowse's delivery, he puts it on the money each time. You've got Bella-Kotchap, you've got Salisu, you've got Shay Adams, you've got Aribo. They're all big physical presence that are willing to attack the ball and run at the ball. And when they do and they time it well, it's very difficult to defend against. And also the club have brought in a set-piece coach, which means they will be working out hard in training. They'll be working on things to try and surprise the opposition. And it seems to be working at the moment. So he'll be disappointed with that chance against Manchester United. He's just stretching at it, which shows that he's not an instinctive striker, let's say, but he's getting the opportunities, and I'm sure a goal will come very, very soon. And he's had a fantastic start to the season. He's been brilliant.
Yeah, I'm sure it will do. Now, one thing we didn't speak about after the game was the penalty appeal. Shay Adams protested vehemently against a handball from Scott McTominay. I'm going to get both of your views on this, but Joe, we'll come to you first. How did you see it?
Steve, I was shocked at the time, and I'm still a little bit shocked it wasn't given, to be honest. I think a lot of United fans, they couldn't believe their luck, really, when you're looking at the response and the reaction after the game. I mean, you see it here, not once, twice, but 3 times Scott McTominay hit the ball with his hand in the penalty box. I mean, after football, you'd make a great basketball or volleyball player, maybe. I mean, just look at his left arm. That's the thing for me on the first one. It's outstretched. Is that a natural position? I don't think so. I think he's making his body bigger. I think, yes, it's close proximity, but he knew. You can almost tell, right, on the player's face when you look at their reaction, and it panned to him. He had that guilty look about him. I think he and everyone connected with Man United was surprised that the penalty wasn't given. I think Saints were victims of the referees and the PGMOL just focusing on the incident at Palace Villa the weekend before, when Luca Dean, there was a penalty given for a handball by him at the back post. And he talked about close proximity and how that shouldn't have really been a penalty because he couldn't get out of the way. And that close proximity ruling is probably what saved Scott McTominay in that situation. But it was a case of being a little bit unlucky for Saints, because had that happened the week before the Digne incident at Palace, then I think that would have been given as a penalty. So a little bit harsh. And yeah, I'm trying to take my Saints hat off as a Southampton fan, but speaking to other fans of other teams and even United fans, they couldn't believe it wasn't a penalty kick, Steve. So I don't know what you guys think, but I think it was a stonewall.
I mean, it's not for us to judge, is it, Kenzie? But you are very, strong in your opinion that it was a penalty. Dean, are you conflicting in that opinion?
No, I agree with Joe. I'm surprised it didn't get reviewed in terms of the referee having a look at it again. I think what you've got to look at is it prevents Shay Adams from getting the ball again. Shay Adams knows what he's going to do. As the ball's coming, he wants to chest it in front of him to either play wide or get a turn and have a shot at goal. McTominay's knows where the ball is. His arms, that's not a natural position. I'm not saying he's meaning to handball it, but he does handball it. In my opinion, it's a penalty. But the surprise is that the referee doesn't get an opportunity to look at it again. That's my surprise. We always say anywhere else on the pitch, it's a free kick. It's 100% a free kick, and the referee will give it. So I think it's like what I mentioned before the game. When you're playing the big Sorry,
Jump in and interrupt you, as I always seem to do. I'm so sorry to be so terribly rude, but we do have the team news, and it's always nice to break that as soon as we have it hot off the press. So we can reveal that there are 2 changes to the team to take on Chelsea today. Gineppo and Aribo both out, and Pero and Diallo come into the side. Where Diallo will fit into this 11 remains to be seen, but here is the team in full. In goal, it's Gavin Bazunu. The back 4, Carl Walker-Peters, Armel Bella-Kotchap, Mohamed Salisu and Roman Pero. In the middle, it's our captain James Ward-Prowse, Romeo Lavia, perhaps Ibrahima Diallo, and then it's Moy Elianusi, Adam Armstrong and Shay Adams to complete that starting 11. The Saints substitutes then are as follows. It's Alex McCarthy, Jan Valerie, Lianco, Jan Bednarek, Musa Gineppo, Stuart Armstrong, Joe Aribo, Theo Walcott and Sekou Mara. Dean, seeing as though I interrupted you once again, I do apologise again for that. What do you think of this 11, and where do you think Diallo will fit into that?
Well, I think it's a strong 11. I think unfortunate for Gineppo. I think he's been very, very impressive. But again, I think that's just a tactical selection for the manager and just freshen it up because of the time scale between games. And Diallo, I'm just looking at, I think maybe James Ward-Prowse maybe play a little bit higher up potentially, and Diallo and Lavia may just sit in front of the back 4 and be that protection and be very, very disciplined. But also Diallo has the ability, the fitness and the drive from midfield to get forward himself, especially running with the ball. So maybe that's an option where Diallo can pick the ball up when he wins the ball back, when he has those interceptions, and then drive Southampton forward. And obviously he's got that physicality so we can get around the pitch and break the game up. So probably a clever selection there. But you've got Elianusi could come into that role. Diallo could go a little bit wider and play a little bit more central because Carl Walker-Peters flies down the wing so much and is that attacking threat. But I think he will sit with Lavia and just give that protection and probably approach it how Southampton have this season, where they'll try and stay in the game and then they can make substitutions, players come and make an impact later on in the game against a Chelsea team that are going to be very, very strong. And like Joe mentioned, probably have a lot of possession early on in the game. And then Southampton will probably grow into the game as they did against Manchester United. So it'll be interesting to see, but I think he will sit there with Lavia and just protect that defence early on in the game.
Joe, I know you said earlier you wanted to see us be more aggressive on the front foot tonight. What do you think of this starting 11?
I do like it, Kenzie. I think probably Ralph has got more sense than me when it comes to this. I was just very excited by the weekend's performance, but it is the right approach, I think, to stay in the game for the first 60 minutes and then bring on the likes of Stuart Armstrong, Musa Gineppo in the more attacking role, and then Sekou Mara as well. So I think that Diallo will line up alongside Lavia in a sort of a solid 2 in front of the back 4. And then James Ward-Prowse will play ahead of him. Stuart Armstrong, as Dean detailed brilliantly, is really good on the left. So I think having him there will be a really good battle with Loftus-Cheek, it looks like, for Chelsea. And then, having Elianusi out on the wing as well, supporting Shay Adams works for me. What is key today, I think, is bringing Diallo in. He'll be sat with Lavia on Mason Mount, Raheem Sterling, Kai Havertz. They're all players that, Chelsea don't really have a forward. They have these floating attacking midfielders that like to cause havoc and spaces in front of the back 4. So having two true holding midfielders in those positions, I think will clog those gaps and make it hard for Chelsea to build up. So I like the lineup. It's following that method of just staying in the game and then going for it late on. And I'm very, very excited by the addition of Diallo and great to see Pero back as well, because we all know how good he is.
Yeah, definitely. Well, there's just 2 days to go until the transfer window slams shut. Southampton have already brought in a number of new faces. Joe, what do you make of the business they've done already? And there are certain areas that you still think they need to strengthen in?
Steve, I think if I had to give them a ranking, I'd probably a 7.5 out of 10 so far. I think, hopefully it's a 10 out of 10 by the deadline at 11 o'clock on Thursday night. But I think it's clear that Joe Aribo, Lavia, Bella-Kotchap, Bazunu, Mara, they all have incredible quality, right? I think from that aspect, the squad is a lot better than last season. The potential is high. These players, we've already seen flashes or consistency already that they are extremely good players. and the only mark against them is that they're young. And Saints, we know, are going to give young players a chance. So it's great to see they've taken the chances early. Saints in the transfer window didn't wait to sell players this summer. They went out and spent money early. And I think that's really paid dividends to get these young players bedded into the team and the system and just feel more comfortable. I think from where they need to strengthen, Steve, it's pretty clear, right? I think up top, we saw that at the weekend with the opportunities that they were creating. They just fell to the wrong players, or maybe players that are really good in other roles, but just aren't clinical in the Premier League right now. I think Ralph said that multiple times over the summer. The need for a top-class finisher up front is really, really high. Some links with Cody Gakpo from PSV Eindhoven, Ramos from Benfica. I mean, those are elite strikers playing for teams in and around the Champions League. And that's the caliber of players that Saints are really going to have to go for to improve the squad they already have in that area. So, we're looking for like a Danny Ings type, and a lot of other teams in the Premier League are looking for that clinical poacher in the penalty box. So Saints won't be alone in that. That's the only thing I think they can kind of put a cherry on top of this transfer window late in the window in the last few days. Really good window so far, but if they can add that clinical finisher in the final hours and days of the window, then I'd be very happy as a Southampton fan.
Dean, it'd be great to get your thoughts on this as well. How would you assess the transfer window?
I think it's been really good for Southampton. I think the club has spent 50 million, something around that mark, which is very, very good for the club and improved. I think the squad has improved. I think you can see the model that the club are going for, younger players that they can develop, but they've also got into the team early on, and we've seen the quality. So the club again have recruited very, very well, and they're at a really good age where they're hungry to succeed. They look enthusiastic. They're willing to learn, which is really, really important. So the manager and the coaching staff have got a really important role in that. They've got some results, which has helped. There's been some good performances. So I think it's been good. I think it's been good so far. I still think the squad needs a little bit more, but I think every supporter, every manager, every squad would say that. I agree with Joe. A goal scorer would be helpful. Would not really replace Danny Ings since he left. Someone who can get that 15 to 20 goals, which makes a huge difference. It really, really does. So if the club can or have identified anyone that is available that they can afford and is willing to come, I think that would be important. But also, I think an experienced centre half. I think if you look at it from last year, there was spells during the season where we conceded a lot of goals. And the two playing there at the moment are fantastic, are doing brilliant, but they're both very young and they're going to have dips in form. It's just the nature of the game that they will. You've got Jack Stevens, you've got Lianka, you've got Jan Bednarak, but they were there last year during the periods when we were conceding a lot of goals. So maybe that someone can come in and fill in when those difficult periods, and also to help the younger players develop. And also one thing I just think Southampton have probably missed for a couple of years, a wide player with raw pace. And we've got some good, strong runners in this team that are quick, but no one with raw, exceptional pace. And especially when Southampton playing the bigger teams and they sit in and defend, someone you can really counter-attack with that can pick the ball up and really drive with it. But it's difficult to find these players, and whether the club has the budget to do that. But if you're asking me what areas we needed to improve, but they would be the three for me.
Well, in just a moment, we are going to look ahead to the match here at St Mary's tonight. But before we do, let's have a word from the fans. Peter's watching along on YouTube. Hello to you, Peter. He's calling it early doors. He said, I've got Bella-Kotchap for the opening goal, and it's going to be from distance. Vishnal's also watching on YouTube. He's going for a 1-0 Saints win. He's predicting a James Ward-Prowse free kick. And he's also saying our defence will be world class. Matthew Walls, hello. He's going for a 2-0 Saints win. We've also got Harrison watching on YouTube. He says, come on you Saints. Another comment here then from Sally. Good evening. She says, come on the boys, a little fingers crossed emoji. And Ryan also tuning on YouTube, who also says, come on you Saints. Thanks for those comments. Keep them coming in.
Yeah, good stuff. Thanks for sending those in. Now, the last time we did face Chelsea, it was a game to forget, a 6-0 defeat. Joe, we haven't got all day, but what went wrong in that game?
Not really sure where to start on this one, Steve, but I think it was just one of those days where Saints were off the pace early on and then Chelsea were on fire, weren't they? I mean, it could have been worse, in all honesty. Chelsea hit the woodwork so many times. There's just quality finishing from Chelsea, though. That was the difference in this game, I think. When they got going, they were just absolutely flying. And in this game for them, obviously came off the back of them. I was looking back at the records. Remember it well. They lost 4-1 at home to Brentford just before this, and then 3-1 against Real Madrid. So they were really, I think, angry was the best way to sum it up. And Saints just played them at a very bad time where there are a lot of players who maybe weren't starting regularly, like Timo Werner, who were wanting to prove themselves to Thomas Tuchel. And they just played the counter-attack perfectly. I think Saints, for a lot of the game, had a lot of the ball high up in the first half, but every time Chelsea broke forward, they were putting chances away. And if it wasn't for Fraser Forster, this could have been double figures. He had a really good game. And as I said, just bad timing. This is a tough point in the season for Saints when confidence was pretty low. And, this opportunity here for Adams has kind of summed it up. Nothing seemed to be going right for Saints at that point of the campaign. And then you add that with a fired up Chelsea team who, as said, were a little bit angry. Then it's not a great combination. So over the last few years, it hasn't been great for Saints against Chelsea. It hasn't been a great matchup historically. So hopefully that changes tonight. But let's forget about last season as quickly as we possibly can.
Well, let's stick to last season, because actually the game at Stamford Bridge was a completely different story, wasn't it? I mean, Saints were in the game at 1-1, and then, of course, the red cards, then 2 goals in the final 6 minutes, won Chelsea the game. Dean, what do you recap from that match?
Well, a slow start from Southampton. Chelsea performed very, very well in the first half, got a goal ahead. I think there was a goal disallowed as well, maybe 2 goals disallowed, which was fortunate for Southampton. But Southampton, after about 35 minutes, were brilliant. Got the penalty. Livramento was exceptional that day, playing against his old club. Reliable James Ward-Prowse from the penalty spot. No doubt that he was ever going to not score. And Southampton were on top then, really playing with that brave intent to press Chelsea, as we can see from the sending off, which is, again, unfortunate. I'm not sure about this. I know he catches the Chelsea player reasonably late and it doesn't look good, but there's no intent from me there, for me personally. And then from that moment on, it's very, very difficult. You're playing against Chelsea with 10 men, but Southampton did well. I think that was the 77th minute. They held on to the 84th. An unbelievable pass from Ross Barkley, who came on and had a real impact. Werner scored to make it 2-1. And again, difficult, because when you open yourself up against a top team, it's difficult to defend in those one-on-one situations. Chelsea at the post twice, and then a brilliant finish from Chilwell, which is very unlucky from Alex McCarthy, because he makes a brilliant save, but it just goes over the line. But Southampton got a lot of credit on this day, for I think, personally, because they didn't start well, but then they grew into the game. And they've done that against Chelsea at Stamford Bridge on many occasions, where it almost takes something for them to believe in themselves. And when they do, when they take on the bigger boys, they can do it. They're as fit as them, they're as strong as them, they're technically as good as them. It's just that little bit of confidence and belief. So unfortunate, but 11 v 11, they were definitely within the game.
Refocusing on this season, Joe, what have you made of Chelsea in their first 4 games?
Very topsy-turvy, Steve, and I think that kind of replicates the current situation at the club with the new owners coming in, a lot of changes behind the scenes, technical directors, sporting directors moving on. So they're still getting new signings in the door. We're talking about Fofana, Aubameyang, maybe Anthony Gordon, all coming in the final days of the window. So they're still getting their squad sorted out. But I think for Thomas Tuchel, he really hates it right now because he loves consistency. He's such a well-drilled coach. His team are well-drilled. They represent him in many ways. And they've had some really good displays and some really poor ones, as we saw at Leeds recently. I was at the home game against Tottenham a couple of weeks ago, and they were excellent. I have no idea how they drew that game 2-2. Tottenham absolutely snatched a point there. And Chelsea just dominated the game from start to finish. I think as we saw, Thomas Tuchel at the end of that game was a little handshake situation with Conte. He was obviously very annoyed that his team had blown the lead and not got all 3 points. So I think Chelsea are at their best when they can dictate the tempo of the game, when they have Conte, Kovacic, Jorginho, those kind of players in there. But they have a lot of players out today, Steve. I mean, Conte and Kovacic are out. Gallagher's suspended. In that midfield area, I feel like that's where Saints could kind of get at Chelsea and put their own stamp on the game. So but it's difficult. They've signed a lot of good players over the summer. Koulibaly, Cucurella, Sterling, they all start today. And Sterling in particular, over the years as a Saints fan, he's kind of been a thorn in our side when he's been at Man City and others. He's, 7 goals, 4 assists against Saints. Very, very dangerous players. But we're talking, again, after the Man United game at the weekend, talking about 2 teams that are going to be probably the biggest spenders in the Premier League, if not the world, in this summer transfer window. So they have the resources to go out there and buy whatever player they really want to. And they're the elite, and it's going to be really tough for Saints. But I took a lot of promise for the performance against United, that they can replicate that tonight against Chelsea. As Dean mentioned, make it difficult, sit in, and then frustrate them. And then it's a decent time to play Chelsea, I think. They played Leicester at the weekend. We're down to 10 men for a large chunk of that game. Midfield injuries. It's not a bad time to play them. So Chelsea, very Jekyll and Hyde right now.
Well, Dean, Joe's just mentioned there how Chelsea are without a number of players, and considering that and all other factors, how do you see tonight playing out, and what's your score prediction?
Well, I'm hoping, Kenzie, that the timing's right for Southampton, and it's a good time to play Chelsea. I don't think they're in their full flow yet. I don't think the team or the new players have quite gelled yet. Top quality players, brilliant, world-class players, but Tuchel looks a little bit frustrated. I think potentially there's some distraction during this window period, and he'd be very, very happy for it to pass and be over. The performance against Leeds will have affected him in the last away game. Played very, very well against Tottenham. So I think if Southampton could be patient and they can be disciplined and they can frustrate Chelsea, then I think they've got a real opportunity here to get a result. It's going to be difficult because, like Joe mentioned, Chelsea are an elite team, and if they turn it on and they're at their best, it's very, very difficult, no matter how well Southampton play. So it's going to take a real team effort, but I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw tonight. I'm hopeful. I think it would just be timing, just with a smaller squad at Chelsea, a confidence from the performance against Manchester United at the weekend, a 1-1 draw tonight.
Okay, Joe, you just said it was a good time to play the Blues. So how do you see this game going, and what's your score prediction?
I was going to go 1-1, to be perfectly honest, but I feel confident. Dean's had that score there, so I'm going to go 2-1. I do agree with some of the comments coming in. I think a 2-1 win to Saints, Ward-Prowse free kick, a bit special. It's a good time to play Chelsea, I think. If Saints can keep it tight, bring on like Stuart Armstrong, Mara late on, I think that will really test Chelsea, because you look at their team, the lineup, I think there's a lot of players playing out of position and you can't quite figure out what system they're playing. And that's not normal for Chelsea. So I'm going to be the optimist. I'm going to go for a 2-1 win for Southampton tonight.
Oh, we love it when you're an optimist. Sounds good to us. Thank you guys ever so much. Always great to have your company. We look forward to rejoining you after the match this evening. And before we say goodbye, let's hear from the fans one more time, shall we? Great to have your comments as always. Zach is watching along on Facebook, Zach Sharrock. He says it's a smart selection, Mara and Aribo, to come on second half and cause problems like last time. Sledger33 on YouTube says he thinks it's going to be a 2-0 Saints win. Hopefully a solid defence, and our strikers will take those chances. We have a comment here from Phil Palmer. Hello. He's going for a 1-0 Saints win. Mara to come on after 60 minutes and score with his first touch. And St. Paris is also watching on YouTube. They say, come on you Reds. And time for a final comment here from Sharon Tiller, watching along on Facebook. Good evening to you, Sharon. She also says, come on you Reds.
Good stuff. A lot of positivity there from the Saints fans. Well, there's around about 45 minutes to go until kick-off here at St Mary's. Southampton will be looking to put in another decent performance against one of the Premier League's big hitters and take all 3 points tonight. As Kenzie said, do join us after the game on the final whistle, where Joe and Dean will also join us with all their post-match reaction and analysis. So enjoy the match, and we'll see you then.
Bye for now.